Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today we're going to be discussing the book The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest by Steig Larsson. This is the third and final book in the Millennium series. The other two books are The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo and The Girl Who Played with Fire. Now if you haven't read the other two books in the series, you might be a little bit confused watching this video, but I'll try not to give away anything too major about the storyline in these books, just so that way you can still see if you're interested in checking out the Millennium series or not after watching this. I had read the first two books in the series quite a while ago. I first read The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo in 2009 and then The Girl Who Played with Fire in 2010, so it had been a while since I had read these stories, and it took me some time to remember what was happening in the storyline. The only reason why I waited so long is because I wanted this book in this specific paperback version because my other two books are in that version, and I'm OCD sometimes about how my books look in a series. I always want them to look exactly the same or, be in the same set. So I actually went onto Wikipedia right before I read this book to remind myself the plot points in the other two books. And I'm really glad I did that because book 3 picks up almost immediately after book 2 ends. So if you're someone who read the first two and it's been a while since you've read them and you want to pick up the third one, I definitely recommend refreshing the storyline in your minds. Like I said, the third book picks up right where the second one left off. Lisbeth's been shot in the head, shoulders, and hip, and is basically in critical condition in the hospital, and Michael's been hurt, and he has discovered all this information about Lisbeth's past, and her father and stepbrother or half-brother are, these murderers and spies. This story kind of just goes through everything that's kind of happened in the past two books and everything that you've learned in the past two books, and Michael's main job in this one is to kind of expose her family for who they really are and to kind of shed light on who Lisbeth really is and the situation she's been in the past and why she is the way she is now, and kind of get her released from custody of the state and everything like that, and make sure that everyone knows that she's innocent and she's actually been the one who's been the victim in these situations. It was really funny picking up this book just because there are a lot of little things that I had forgotten about, like his writing style and the details he includes. One of my favorite jokes about this book is the fact that everyone in this story, whenever they're hungry, they're eating a sandwich. Like, they never eat anything besides sandwiches. This book actually got better at it. Some of the characters go out to dinner and have other things besides sandwiches, but I literally laughed because the first time I saw someone eating something that it said it wasn't a sandwich, I literally wanted to highlight it in my book because I was like, oh my gosh, not a sandwich. And I don't know if that's like a Swedish thing that they eat a lot of sandwiches. I don't know, but it just always made me laugh. And then even just other little things always bothered me. The fact that Michael's laptop is always referred to as being an iBook, like he's writing on his iBook, and he spent 5 hours typing out on his iBook, and he opened up his, I feel like it's product placement almost. I don't know, maybe it is, and I just never realized it. But no one says let me go grab my iBook. Everyone says let me go grab my laptop or let me go grab my computer. No one says such specific details about themselves or about other things unless someone's asking specifically about what type of computer do you have or anything like that. So I always feel like when books and stories get so specific into the details, it feels like they're pushing that product on me. And even the fact that now reading it in 2012, the fact that he's writing on an iBook is outdated. I mean, I still have my iBook, but it's basically pretty run down and kind of useless, but I still have it just because there's some programs on there that I still want. But an iBook's pretty outdated, so in a couple more years it's going to seem even more outdated. There's even another instance of this where Michael gives Lisbeth some sort of palm device, and I'm reading that and I'm like, wow, palm doesn't even exist anymore, and things like that. So I mean, technology changes so fast that I feel like whenever things are so specific like that, it dates the book quite a bit, and also I feel like I get pulled out of the moment a little bit, just because, especially with the palm device, I was like, I don't really know what device that is. Maybe I should look it up. While I'm reading the book, I'm thinking all of this and it's distracting me from the actual story itself. Another thing that I forgot about in this storyline is how much I don't like Michael. He's kind of pompous and kind of annoying. I don't know why every female character in this book has a crush on him or falls in love with him or whatever, you know, like it just seems so, I don't know. It's annoying. He's annoying. I don't know. I don't see the appeal. I mean, I guess you're supposed to see him as like smart and confident and whatever, but to me he just looks like a man whore and I don't understand why everyone likes him so much. So now basically at this point I was probably like, wow, you really didn't like this book. I did like this book. I think the main reason why I like these books is because of Lisbeth. I think she's an amazing character. I love how strong she is and how smart she is and how just technologically savvy she is. You know, she's a computer hacker and things like that. So I think everything dealing with her is very clever. And also just the way you see her kind of breaking down the walls that she's built up over time to certain people as she learns to trust them, and she realizes that, you know, not everyone is evil, not every police person is evil, not every doctor is evil, and things like that. So I always find her storyline the most engaging. The only problem is the fact that in this book she spends at least half, if not more, of the story in a hospital, and, you know, in a hospital bed because she's been so severely injured. So like for the entire first half of the novel, she was basically like in and out of being, you know, drugged and things like that because she was in so much pain she couldn't really do much. It isn't until the second half of the novel where she actually gets things to do because Michael finds a way to slip her a device while she's in the hospital, and only then it feels like she's back to herself. And then I started to really like the story even more, and then like in the trial that happens at the end of the book, I really liked watching all of those scenes or reading all of those scenes. So I would say that this book is kind of my least favorite out of the three in the series, just because Elizabeth is my favorite character, so obviously her role being diminished definitely made me like this book a lot less. And also I'm not really crazy about the other characters in the book, so the fact that they were emphasized more because Elizabeth was a smaller role in this book kind of didn't, like, I wasn't entertained by them very much. There's a storyline in here with Erica Berger, who is, you know, the editor-in-chief of the magazine. Basically she gets a job offer. I think she gets the offer in the end of the last book. In the beginning of this book, she leaves the magazine and goes to work for a local newspaper instead, and it's supposed to be like a major daily and things like that. That entire storyline was so frustrating just because I didn't understand the point of it. I mean, I guess it was just supposed to be a B plot, maybe, but I read the whole thing and I was like, this is just not necessary, and it just seemed like another situation when Stieg Larsson just wanted to create more misogynistic men for people to yell at and beat up. And I don't know, like, is there a lot of misogyny in Sweden? I don't understand. Like, it seems like every guy in here is misogynistic. There's some extreme women haters in this book, and they're seen as the bad ones, which is good. It's not like Stieg Larsson was like, oh, these guys are great and they hate women. But he, like, are there no other flaws in people that he could think of to bring out? I don't know. It just really bothered me. He could have come up with something else that's wrong with them outside of the fact that they hate women. I don't know. It just, like, do something else. Sorry. That entire storyline kind of had almost no bearing on the other storylines. I mean, it did a little bit, but if you took that out, you could find a way to work with it. It just felt so unnecessary, and, like, especially at the end when you find out, like, who the problem is, or, you know, I don't want to give away what they just basically, like, Erica gets harassed at her new job, and she knows it's one of her coworkers, but she doesn't know who. So, like, at the end of that, when you find out who it is, it's such an, like, really, that was it, really, moment that you're like, that was not worth, like, the 100 pages of this. Like, this book could have been reduced by so much if you just took out that storyline. It was so unnecessary. I don't know. And, like, sometimes I wonder, like, because these books were found after Stieg Larsson was passed away, if, like, they felt bad, like, changing it a lot or, like, removing certain elements, just because then, like, you can't consult with the author or anything like that about the storyline. So I wonder if that may have happened, because I feel like if I was an editor and I had read that, I would have been like, what's the point of that doesn't do much. And then especially what happens to Erica by the end of this thing, I was like, seriously? Ugh. And the other thing is that everything ended so like happily ever after. Like everyone gets what they want and everyone's so perfectly content in their lives, and oh, I hate that. I mean, honestly, like, I get it, but at this, I don't know, it just bothered me. I think I was just bothered by the end of it. Like, I think there was also like 50 pages in the end where I was like, I don't know why you're telling me all this, unless it's maybe, like, it felt like when you read the epilogue of Harry Potter, if for those of you who did, you were kind of like, I didn't need to know this, but I guess thanks for telling me type of situation, and I felt like that was the last 50 pages. Like, I didn't really need to know what Lisbeth does at the end, or like all of those details felt so unnecessary. I don't know. This book bothered me. I might need to change my rating on Goodreads because I put it as 3 stars. But I wouldn't say it was 2 stars either. I wish you could do half stars on there. I think I'm gonna say like I would have given this a 2.5 star just because I'm like, well, it wasn't horrible. Like, I didn't hate the book. But there was so much about it that I was just like, really? That was the choice you made in the end? But at the same time, like, I always feel bad saying that because, like, I've tried writing books or, you know, whatever, I've done NaNoWriMo, and, like, you get to a point where you're like, I have no idea how to end this, so should I do the cliche thing and just, like, whatever? Or should I try to come up with a new twist? And it's not easy to do where it makes sense. So, you know, I always feel bad saying, like, oh, that was so cliche, because sometimes it's hard to write not a cliche ending. But I guess that's what separates certain writers from others. If you read the first 2, obviously read this one just so you can see how it all ends. And then if you haven't, I mean, I'm always very hesitant recommending these books to people because it's very violent and it's very extreme. There are a lot of things in here that like can turn people off. Obviously, I just like ranted for, you know, however many minutes about this book. So I know there are definitely details in here. If you like thrillers and you like mysteries, you'll probably like this book. I feel like the first 2 books were a lot more violent and intense than this one was, so at least it has that going for it. Like, always, I feel like give a book a chance. Like, everyone has different tastes and different styles, so like saying that you like this book, also I don't discredit your opinion because again, it's your opinion. But at the same time, I wasn't crazy about this one. I really liked the first one just because I thought it was interesting, and then I enjoyed the second one, and then this one, not so much. So basically, I started off high and it slowly dropped from there. So that's my review of The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. I'll leave links below, as usual, to my Goodreads, Tumblr, and Twitter. Feel free to leave your comments about your opinions about the book and what you thought if you read any of these. And of course, subscribe to my channel so you can see any of my upcoming reviews. And thanks for watching! The Girl Who Kicked the Hornet's Nest. It's not going to be good if I don't remember the title. As usual, I'll leave links below to my Goodreads. Oh my goodness. And I thought I wasn't going to have bloopers this time around.